Let me drink some water before I do anything. Hello everyone, welcome to another video. My name is Alex, and today we'll be talking about wave control. You guys voted on a poll I put out like last week because I am slow at making videos and my upload schedule is filled with uncertainty and difficulties, and my life sucks. I'm going to condense this down to kind of like a much smaller, shorter way so that you can kind of like get just the basics, like kind of the very like, this is what you should do, these are what they are. Details you can figure out on your own. Wave control is full of all sorts of stuff, and I kind of just looked at it as like something instinctually that you do. You kind of just gain kind of knowledge of how the wave is going to push and how it's going to move and how you affect it in certain different ways. So with that in mind, be patient with me as I try to put whatever the heck I'm thinking into some sort of guttural noise that resembles words. So just like my dating life, wave control is complex and unfulfilling because I have money but no one to share it with. Now, there's a lot involved with wave management and a lot of small things you can do, and it helps like make your farming easier, gets you ahead of your enemy a lot of the times depending on how much you can deny, and makes it easier for your jungler to never gank your lane. But I'm going to reduce it down to like 3 basic concepts: freezing a wave, denying CS, and leaving the lane, which is actually kind of important sometimes. So freezing is when you hold the wave close to your tower, providing safe farming and making your enemy laner more vulnerable to things like ganks from the jungle or even from other lanes. You can also deny CS by doing this, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. But the general gist of freezing is that you kind of want to keep the wave the neutral zone, like where they like come together, close to your tower. You do this by having a certain number of enemy minions, a certain number of your minions. Too many of either one is going to push in either direction. My go-to numbers around freezing are usually like, okay, I can usually keep a freeze. If I have like a full wave of my minions, I kind of need a full wave of the enemy minions, or even a little bit less than that. So let's say like maybe 3 melee minions and like 2 caster minions, or maybe like 3 melee minions usually can keep the wave frozen most of the time. Melee minions have a lot more health, a lot more defense, and they don't take a lot more damage than the caster minions, so having just caster minions will not do you any good unless there's a lot of them. Now, if there's a cannon in your wave, then you can usually keep the wave frozen a lot longer, especially if you have your own cannon. Cannons soak up a lot of damage, just like my crippling student debt sucks up all of my paychecks. Now, freezing isn't only for helping you CS, it helps you do other things, like giving your jungler the all too ignorable indication that you want some attention at all in your lane. But it also helps you deny CS, and it's actually a big part of freezing lane, or even just the game in general. And that's nothing like, you know, Dota 2, another very popular game that has denying in certain ways, like you attack your own minions and kill them. And it also has voice chat, by the way, just has voice chat. You deny CS in a few ways in late. Freezing when your enemy leaves lane, pushing the wave into the enemy tower if you leave lane, or zoning the enemy wave from the wave and also like freezing it. Like if you have a freeze, zoning, and that's kind of like one or the other. Usually both of those happen at the same time, but that's just like a few ways you can like deny CS. In all these cases, you're trying to get your minions killed by the enemy minions. And it's not super complex, and a lot of times you actually do it instinctually. You kind of just happens, especially if you're really strong in the lane and your enemy doesn't want to fight you and trade with you as much. And I'll give you an example of like freezing the wave and denying CS that way when your enemy laner leaves the lane. So say you're up against Talon and he roams a lot by nature, just roaming around, parkouring over walls and shit. When he leaves lane, you're gonna want to freeze the wave under your tower so you set farm safely. You're just gonna last hit. That's basically all you're gonna do. And when we talk about last hitting, I mean like you're legit just waiting for the last possible second to kill the minion. You're not using your abilities, especially if you're a mage, not trying to hit as many minions as possible. Just don't touch the wave. Last hit, don't touch it. Maybe zone, if you have to zone people out, just don't touch it. Hands down, you're going to deny more CS than just pushing it in and trying to get in plates. Even if the Talon gets a kill, you'll probably end up even with him or even just a little bit ahead at money. Now that being said, pushing is still viable since you can get plates and get a bit more money off of that. Each plate, if you get it solo, gives you 160 gold, which is about half a kill and pretty much the entire wave of CS. But you're putting yourself in a bit of a vulnerable position, especially if the Talon is coming back from the roam and after they've gotten a couple kills. If they're coming back from bot lane, coming back from top lane, the jungler's probably not too far behind them, and it gives them a great opportunity to just, you know, turn your ass in the grass and mow in it. But it's all to your discretion. It really comes down to what you think will net you the most gold possible without giving up too much to your enemy laner. Like, if you go ahead and leave lane after after the like push it and then leave, your opponent is going to have more tempo than you. They're just going to push the wave and then take a plate, get a lot of CS, come back with more better items than you are. So just like think about that in the long run. Speaking about leaving lane, there are times to leave lane and times to not leave lane. And I'm going to emphasize when you should not leave lane, because negative reinforcement, it always works. Telling someone not to do something makes them do it. Oh wait, you shouldn't leave lane when your wave is frozen. And any times like, oh, my wave's here, I'm just gonna leave. No, don't stop. Unless two things. One, you're a quick champion, you get around really quickly, you can parkour over walls, you can fly over there with dragon, you know, you can do all this stuff. Or you have TP. If you have TP and you want to have a safe farming time, you want to have your jungler gank for you later on when your laner comes back, teleport back to your frozen wave. It's fine. It gives you a little bit more tempo and actually allows you to spend your money and get back with stronger items and actually have a stronger presence and keep that presence in the lane. Just be careful, like, because you're using such a large cooldown, one of your summoner spells to get back to lane, be very careful not to like break your freeze or like push it farther, because you've just used a huge cooldown. Your enemy's gonna know that, relay that to the jungle, and they're probably going to like try to like take advantage of that, especially since they want to get ahead of you and they gain some tempo over you. Also, I mention tempo a lot of the times. What I mean by tempo, and this is my understanding of tempo, if I'm completely wrong, please yell at me in the comments constructively, but also loudly. I have a hard time processing words. I have ADHD. Actually, don't yell. It scares me. My understanding of tempo is that when you want to try to back and come back, go buy items and come back to lane with better items than your opponent constantly. You want to have some sort of form of tempo, like even if it's just keeping up with your enemy laner. Phone, shut up. Even if it's just coming up, keeping even with your laner, that kind of tempo keeps the lane either even or with you ahead a lot of the times. It helps you like kind of have a clear advantage when you know you're trading or trying to deal damage to your opponent, you know, when you actually manage to hit your abilities, of course. Unlike me, I am perfect all the time and hit every ability whatsoever. So those are 3 basic concepts. Now, all of these things hinge on you being able to posture yourself properly. And what I mean by that is like, do you feel like you have a lead? Do you feel you can up against a bad matchup? Is that person just a little bit better than you? Like really, are they a bit more skillful at their champion than you or yours? Are you having a hard time in lane? You're able to CS as much? All these things are kind of like factors that kind of determine if you can stay in the lane. But it all depends on a lot of those factors. Like, and a number of other factors. What champion you're playing? What champion is your enemy playing? How aggressive is your jungler? Is your jungler invading? Are they dying while invading? Why haven't they been mid yet? It's been 10 minutes and Thresh and Udyr have been in my lane 4 times already. Please come help me. I am really sad. Don't try to force a freeze if you can't. Don't try to deny CS if you can't. If you're up against a bad matchup, play more defensively. Don't take free damage because you want to get that 1 minion. Like, wave control is super important, and it gets more important the more experience you have in the game. The higher up you go, the more money objectives matter. But one of the best ways to get money and stay in the game is to farm effectively in any situation, even the ones you aren't able to control the wave in your favor. But yeah, that's it. That's all I wanted to say about wave control. Hopefully it gives you a little bit of a head start with learning how to do it. Obviously, this is just a beginner's guide, so go out there and search for other things, other resources to help you learn how to do this better. I am also doing that all the time with anything that I talk about, and you should too. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this gave you kind of like just a kind of like the like very concrete, simple answer to wave control. There's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of different scenarios you could be in that require a little bit more nuance. I'm sorry that my upload schedule has been really weird lately. It's just I'm a sad bean. I just get sad, and when I get sad, I don't want to make things. But now that I'm making things, it's like a constant cyclical thing with me. I get sad because I don't make things, but I don't make things because I get sad. So I need something to make me not sad, and I haven't figured that out yet. I'm an adult. I haven't figured out how to make myself not sad yet. So you too cannot be sad by liking the video if you really enjoyed it and leaving a comment. Tell me what you think about wave control. Like, tell me if this is something you think about a lot more nowadays. Tell me if I'm wrong about certain things. Give some feedback in the comments below. Give some of your own 2 cents if you have more knowledge than I do. Leave it down there. Obviously, being as constructive and, you know, just not asshole-ish as possible. Also, by the way, you should do something that really helps. Subscribe. 99 point something of you % are not subscribed. And you know what happens when you subscribe? I have lived in this apartment for 8 months. I still have a box, unpacked. You know what's inside that box? All of your subscriptions. All of them are right there. And you know what would happen if you would subscribe? All of that box would go away. I can finally be fully moved into this apartment that I moved into 8 months ago. And be really appreciative, really happy. And so help me with that box and subscribe. So yeah, thank you. That's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one, whenever that is. Next week, probably, I think. Yeah. Bye.